everyone, so I'm using my old camera today because my new camera just decided to fail. But in this video I will be talking about how to do your brows, how to define them, the 3 different methods using brow powders, brow gels, brow pencils, the different tools you need to do your brows. It's just the ultimate guide to brow basics. But first I want you, person watching this, I want you to get your brows professionally done first. So that means they will shape your brows, they will shape it to your preferred shape and the structure that is best for your facial shape, because that is really important. Some people have those different kinds of brows according to their facial structure, so it's really hard to do it yourself, because I remember when I was watching YouTube videos and I didn't have my brows done and I was like, oh my gosh, what if I mess up? Like, what if I just like shave it off, you know? I didn't want to do that, so I don't want you to do those things yourself. Even though you look on YouTube and you're trying to save money, don't try to save money on this. Go get them professionally done. That's the first thing you need to do before you watch this video. Okay, so what are the basic 3 methods to defining your brows? There are brow powders, brow gels, and there are also brow pencils. But first I will be talking about the tools involved, and there are a few tools. The first thing I do usually with my brows is to brush them in place, or to keep the hairs where they need to go. So I usually use 2 tools, and this is by Eco Tools, and this is the brow brush, and this is a really cool one because you can simply do this if you want to get them in shape. And then you can also use a spoolie, which people also like to use, and that can just go over your brows like that. So these are really cool tools in terms of keeping your hairs in place before you define them. The next thing you would do is, if you are using a brow powder, not specifically a brow pencil or a brow gel, you would use angled liner brushes. And this one is from Eco Tools. It's a synthetic bristle brush, and this is also from a Magical Tansu brush set that I got, and this is a natural hair bristled brush. Now usually brow duos will have a powder and it will have a wax. I was at Zuza and I was, you know, sometimes I do this, I'm such an ass, but I just say like, oh, what is this for? Because I know what it's for already, but I just want to see if they know it. And someone said that the brow wax was a highlight, and I was just like, oh. So watching YouTube videos are important. Anyway, this is the angled brow brushes, and I like to apply the brow powder with a synthetic bristle brush, although that's really weird because usually synthetic brushes are associated with cream products, they're associated with wax products, but I like to use brow powders with this one and wax with this one simply because this one has natural bristles and it will be able to comb my brows through while I apply the wax. So these are really good brushes as well that you need for brow powders. The first thing I'm going to talk about is a brow powder, and I have it right here. These are 2 brow powders that I have. This is the Smashbox Brunette Brow Tech Duo, and you get a brow powder and you get also a brow wax. So these are really important if you are wanting to keep those hairs in place all day long. The brow wax is for that. The brow powder will help define your brows so that you have those angled brows just like that. So it's really important as well. This is the brow and liner kit by The Body Shop, and usually there's a brush here, but I don't like it because it's just so flimsy. But this one doesn't come with a brow wax, it just comes with a dark brown powder and a black powder. Now a lot of people are confused on what color they should get. You do not get the color or the brow powder color that exactly matches your hair color. You want to go 2 shades lighter, but if you are a dark colored person. So if you have dark hair like I do, which is like black, you want to go for 2 shades lighter or 1 shade lighter. So as you can see, this is a dark brown and my hair is like black. So basically this is 2 shades lighter than this one. And that is the reason, because you don't want to look too bold, you don't want it to look too angled and too fake. So you want a more natural approach, you have to have 2 shades lighter than your original hair color. So that's really important. So the first thing I usually do is I, of course, groom my brows first, and I use a brow spoolie or whatever, and I just do this. Okay, and then after that I have brow stuff already on my brow, so I'm not going to show you exactly what I do, like apply it so you can see it, but this is what you do, is you just sort of do this, and it's very pigmented powder. A lot of people like to substitute brown eyeshadow for brow powder, and because eyeshadows aren't formulated to stick on your brows all day, they aren't formulated to stick on your skin all day so that when you extend it, you can see it. So if you have like really unpigmented brows and you put a brown eyeshadow on it, and the next thing you know, the afternoon, they're gone. So getting a brow powder, which is formulated for brows, is really important. And what you would do is you first start from the center of your brow and then extend down below. There are 3 canons to brows itself. First thing is, this is where it starts. This is where it's supposed to bend, okay, from your nose, so you just, that line, and then this is where it's supposed to stop. Okay, you see that? So often, sometimes your brows don't end where it should be, so you can just simply use the brow powder and just sort of extend your brow a little bit, and it will look exactly very natural. After you've done that, very simple, use your next brow brush, which is, I use a natural hair bristle, and I apply the wax. You don't want to mix the two because it will look really, really gross, but you apply the wax and you do it the same way, and the wax will help the hairs stick together. They will help make it more defined and even hotter. After you do that, you just simply comb through, you have natural looking brows. You do not want to start the brow powder at the start of your brow, because if you do that, it will make it look too pigmented, and if you do, can you imagine if this was really dark? It would just like merge. Not cool, especially on me. I don't know if it's going to work on you, but I know that on me, if I start from the front and I have really bold brows on the front and the back, it will merge and it will look like the most weirdest thing. I wore it to school one day and I was so embarrassed that I never did it again. But no one noticed. Everyone was like, whatever. But I noticed in the mirror. I was like, oh no, I can't even wash it off. But anyway, that is the trick to brow powders. Now, brow powders are really good if you're a person who wants natural looking brows. You want to control the amount of pigment you put on your brows. For example, one day you want to look more natural, you put a little less pigment. And then one day you want to look more angled and defined, you put more pigment. So it's really good for controlling that. It's also good for very good for blending, for having those natural looking brows that are defined and beautiful. So that's why my favorite method is to use the brow powders. Although they require a series of steps, the effect is definitely worth it. The next thing you can go for is actually a brow pencil. And I have one here. And it is the Benefit Instant Brow Pencil, which looks like this. And I recently got this because usually when you are in a rush, it's very hard to go through those series of steps, all those steps, to apply perfect brows. So this one is the next closest thing, and I've swatched it before because I've done this video before a couple times because my camera failed. But this is a swatch of it, and you can see that it is 2 shades lighter than my hair color. So you want to go with that color range, just like getting a dye, get it? Like a hair dye, even though I dyed my hair and it just didn't work. Anyway, this is a instant brow pencil, and brow pencils are really good. You would shade it the same way, and the thing is, brow pencils have the powder and the wax in them together, so it's like formulated together, and you would just shade them the same way, starting from the middle and going on to the end, and then fluffing everything together with the spoolie at the back, and you would just comb it through so that it would disperse. You don't want any harsh lines on your brows for sure, so you just disperse it and make it more natural. I don't specifically like using brow pencils simply because it is a very harsh line. This is a very harsh line, and it's very hard to blend if you get it wrong. And if you get it wrong, say like you just press something here, it's very hard to rub off, stuff like that. So I don't specifically like using brow pencils, and I can't control the amount of pigment I apply onto my brow, so it's very hard for that as well. But it's very handy if you are on the go, if you are in a rush. So these are really handy to have. You want to put in the effort for brows because they're very important. The next one is brow gels, and brow gels I hate because there are 2 types of brow gels. There's brow gel with tint, and there's a brow gel with like a clear brow gel. And those gels I really don't like, simply because those gels get really messy, and when you've opened them after 2 weeks, the pigment goes onto the brush, goes in the tube, and it gets really cloudy and gross, so I tend to always throw it away anyway. But other than that, also, it's a very generic way of swiping tint onto your brows because it's sort of just a swipe of the tint itself, and you can't control how much you want on your brows. You can't control where you want it a little darker, where you want it a little lighter, and that's of course really important for me because I don't like having little unibrows in the start. So I don't like brow gels in general. I don't suggest getting them because honestly they were just a waste of money when wax can do such a good job of actually setting your hairs in place. And then, I know this is a very long video, but I also wanted to push in the fact that you need to maintain your brows after you shape them because the hairs will start to grow back, but they'll start to grow back at a slower rate if you do it right. And a lot of people like tweezing. I like to tweeze instead of wax because it's more convenient, something that is less messy. And I have here the Shuyamura tweezers, and you don't need, you know, expensive tweezers, but I'm like that, you know. So I have the Shuyamura ones, and they look like this. They're very, very nice. And the trick to actually tweezing your hairs out of your brows is very, very simple. It actually doesn't hurt. If it hurts, you're doing it wrong. It's just like volleyball. If it hurts, you're doing it wrong. So first you have the hair like this, right? Say you have like little hair coming out, and you just simply take the tweezer and get it, and then you just pull it out at the way it grows. If you pull it out this way, it will hurt. It will also break the hair at the bottom of the root so that you will have ingrown hairs. That's what they're called, ingrown hairs, and it will start to grow that way. So you want to sort of pick it where it grows, and it will just pluck, and you won't even feel a thing. So you will feel something, but it's not going to hurt as much as if you just did this way. And you often don't want to pinch the skin, so be careful of that because that will really, really hurt, because I've done that tons of times. I'm like, ah, ow. Other than that, you can also trim your brows. So other than picking up the hairs, you need to trim them, and you need to get like a small scissor looking thing. So this is scissors, and what you need to do is you get a spoolie. Now these are really important to have as well for brows because this is the only tool you'll need to shape them. And what you would do is you would simply, I don't know, my brows are already done, so I'm not going to show you that much, but you would simply use the spoolie like this, and then you would flip your hairs up, and you will see that there are little hairs sticking out. You get the, you're gonna press, flip, like press, move up, and then trim the hairs along the line of your brows, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense because it really is really simple. So you would press here, twist up, you'll see little hairs growing up if it's long, and then just trim it along the line of your brow, and you will have perfectly trimmed brows. And it's really important because your brows will look messy if your brow hairs are too long. So I hope you really liked this video, and I hope it was really helpful for all of you thinking about doing your brows. I suggest really doing them because they're very important to your facial structure and to enhance your facial features. Please go get your brows first. If you're a first timer and you've never done your brows before, please go get them professionally done. I suggest Brow House in Singapore. It's not that expensive to get any brows done, especially in Singapore, Australia. It's going to even be, I think, cheaper in the United States. So get them professionally done, and then you can do all these fun things to your brows every single day, and it'll be fun. So I hope you liked this video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!